Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're episode 304.
Yeah, 304. This is our episode, and we are getting close to...
Who else's episode is this?
You know, it's
the people's episode. It's the people's
When I
episode.
say our episode, it's like a royal hour. Like I'm saying like our as in like our community. It's our episode. Okay. We are doing this together.
Hey, there you go.
And we are talking today about Q4. And this is like one of my least favorite things.
I know. I'm glad you're real about it.
We're still like, this is summertime.
I know.
We're getting into like Q4 discussions already. However, Q4, I mean, it is a significant part of most people's
income
year, the income for the year. So, all right, we'll talk about it. I think it's going to be an interesting Q4. So, yeah.
So the reason I thought it would be a good time to talk about this is that I think Q4 is going to be moving up more. And we'll talk about this on our next episode where we talk about our thoughts on the upcoming Q4. I think it will be different. But now is the time, because before you know it, Q4 will be here and you're going to be like, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I wish I did this. And our hope is that if we drop this sooner, because I think we'll be probably the first podcast, YouTube, whatever, that's going to talk about prepping for Q4.
I got an idea. So we're talking about prepping for Q4.
Yeah.
Prepping. We're going to be preppers for the Q4. I almost feel like we need to be like, those like the doomsday stuff. Like it's like the end of the world's coming. We got to prep. That's how we need to be with Q4. Like Q4 is coming. It's going to come one way or another. We got to prep. We got to make sure we got our stuff organized. We could be like that. That could be like our shtick. Like we're like the crazy Q4 preppers. Like you got to have your buckets with your shipping supplies ready.
You kind of have a rock thing going there a little bit. Like
this is the rock.
You got to get your
is coming.
Okay. All right, so let's get started. So here's the thing. Here's some things you can do to prep for Q4 now, which is important. Is first of all, it's a time to learn right now.
I love learning.
Well, when things are kind of quiet, it's August, and
summer slowdown is starting to ease up, hopefully.
Yeah, a little bit, but you still got kind of a lull a little bit, depending on where you're at. I've always said I haven't had a summer slowdown, but you can choose to slow down if you want. And right now, I think it's retail wise, it is a slowdown, right? Before, the huge sales start coming in. And here's the thing. We have a lot of resellers that listen to us that don't sell on eBay. Believe it or not, like their Poshmark or their Mercari. Some of our listeners just do local deals. That's all they do. They sell on OfferUp. And then some, sell on eBay primarily, but they never touched Amazon. And I believe like right now is a great time to figure these platforms out, right? It's interesting because a lot of people that come over from Poshmark to eBay never go back to Poshmark. Like they'll still dabble a little bit in Poshmark, but they'll come over and they're like, a lot more people buy stuff on eBay. And it's true because they have at least triple.
It depends on what you're selling. It depends on what you're selling. Poshmark still might be the way to go on items you're selling.
If you were to tell me to place a bet though on Poshmark or eBay, I'd put everything in on eBay every single time.
Yeah, but if you're selling middle of the road or designer in women's clothing, I think you're going to do better on Poshmark. If you're selling stuff that's targeted to 20-year-old girls, you're going to do better on Poshmark than you on eBay.
I don't know. I still disagree.
Yeah, you can be wrong. That's okay.
I still got my eBay.
It's like Mean Mike days coming back.
I got my eBay tattoo on me, so
that's
it's kind of hard for me.
Speaking of which, on our Discord, we have a picture. It's been confirmed. eBay tat on Orlando is confirmed on our Discord.
So, anyways, but I strongly encourage you because a lot of people that jump over find eBay, difficult, and everybody has their own comfort level, but yeah, eBay is a little different. It's not standardized shipping as it is on Poshmark or Mercari. You kind of have to figure out how to do calculated shipping. You got to understand the difference between first class and priority and ground and all those things. And then on top of that, the listing, there's a lot more. You got to do item specifics. There's a lot more, customer engagement. There's, returns is a big part of the business on eBay. And I know still people all the time were like, I love it on Instagram when I talk about returns and people are like, this is why I never do returns. And I'm like, hey, I understand that. But as a full-time seller, who has to make a full-time income to be able to live in California, I have to do returns. Like if I was doing part-time, like side hustle, I could go with no returns, right? But I just can't. And so now is the time. If you want to prep for Q4, figure out how to do eBay now. Figure out how to do Amazon. I mean, Amazon, the learning curve is way different than the others. It's doable, but you're dealing with gating. You're dealing with the fact that, there is no Amazon customer service like there is on eBay, at least for sellers. It's very hard to get a hold of people. There is more of a race to the bottom. It's not like list it and forget it. Where on eBay, you can just list something and just let it go.
Right. Which is why we're saying this is the time to learn, right? So if you don't know how to do these things, figure it out now and just dabble in it. Watch some YouTube videos specifically on how to do certain things on Amazon or eBay, and then try a couple trial runs, get signed up, figure out what it takes. Do that now, because you've got the time now. You're not going to have the time to be effective in Q4. It's too late. And that kind of goes along with the next one, which is like learning a niche too, learning what you can sell that's going to be profitable in Q4. So one of the things that's beneficial is doing research on what items or types of items trend during that time, or paying attention to, if you really want to be cutting edge, what could be trending this year. So what's happening in social media, what's happening in what movies is Netflix planning on releasing in the next several months. Things like that are going to make an impact on, is it a certain Disney movie item? Is it a certain, you can do that research now and figure that stuff out now. You're not going to be able to do as much when you're trying to just find like the hot bolo. It's kind of already too late when half of the resellers have already found that bolo, because that's when you're dealing with the race to the bottom and all of that stuff. So you want to figure out, and maybe it's not the hot bolo like a toy, but just what types of items sell. And how can you do that? Well, go to Terapeak if you're on eBay and figure out, try some things. What are some things that I buy in the wintertime? What are some things people buy as we're getting closer to Christmas? And look up those items or those categories and figure out, okay, what items in this category sell the most? And if you see that trend always spikes during the Q4, all right, I need to be sourcing these items. I need to be finding these items. I need to be adjusting my prices in my store, because that can happen too. You can have items in your store and not realize that the price starts to spike. Oh man, I've had a bunch of sales as I'm moving into Q4. You might have undersold because you didn't do the research to realize, hey, this category actually like almost doubles during this season. So spend the time to do the research now. And I'm a big believer that as you spend every moment of time that you spend doing research and learning is going to pay dividends for a lifetime. Now, there are going to be times where you can spend a whole afternoon researching a couple categories and it come out like bunk. Like, well, I didn't find anything, but you still learned, well, I probably shouldn't be buying these 12 things that I spent a bunch of time researching because they don't do well. So it's still knowledge. It's still beneficial. And eventually you're going to find the things that do sell well, but use the time that you have now to do that, because you're not going to be able to learn. Maybe you get lucky and you find the bolo nobody knows about, but if you do it now and you're prepared, you're going to be far better off.
Yeah, agreed. And the other thing I wanted to add to that is everybody is looking at the same items for Q4, right? And if you can learn a niche that sells well and understand how to source that now, you're going to be far better off. Right. And I know I'm speaking vague, but for example, right, like right now, video games do really well in Q4, but locally, that's one of the hardest things to source. Like everybody has saved searches on OfferUp and whatever, Facebook Marketplace for video games, right? Everybody has a Nintendo. I mean, maybe now more people do because I said it, but people have it, right? And they're trying to find, those items and they're going to try to, flip it. And there's so much competition. Right. Try to find something different. So, for example, I myself, there's certain Christmas items that aren't like the Department 56, aren't the, the normal run of the mill things that people source for that I've gained knowledge on over the years. And those I have in my saved searches, and I will source those things that I know they will do well in Q4. But that took me learning a niche during the off times and know that, hey, not a lot of people are looking at this. Not a lot of people know that these actually sell well on eBay. And now when it comes to Q4, I'm going to have these items stocked up and I know that they're going to sell real well in Q4. All right. Now, this last one, I strongly encourage you to do this. Learn to ship all kinds of different items, even larger items, because here's the deal. It's going to be Q4. And if you might end up in a situation where you're like dabbling and you're like, I don't know if I want to do retail arbitrage, but there might be a item that's pretty big that you've never shipped out that size of item. But if you figured out how to ship out that item earlier on or something similar, you'll be able to gain that unfair advantage over others. For example, I have found that in Q4, my biggest sales have been always items that people are unwilling to ship, right? Or even on eBay, right? Some of the biggest sales I have are usually items that people are like, that's too large, that's too heavy, I don't want to ship that out. And so learn how to ship that, or learn, how to, let's say you're a clothing seller and you've never shipped out electronics, but maybe, there might be some electronic that's the good thing that everybody's going to want to buy. Learn how to ship that item. And as you learn how to ship more things, you're going to feel more comfortable. And instead of passing up things on Q4 that you could sell for good money, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I ship something like that. It's no big deal. You want shipping to just be muscle memory. Like, it doesn't stress you out. It doesn't concern you. It doesn't worry you. And you want your Q4 to go in that direction. That kind of makes sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think especially when it comes to like how to ship, you got to practice, you got to learn that stuff. And one of the places I've actually got a lot of really good shipping like tips and tricks from. Here's my shameless plug segue here is our Discord. Man, on our Discord, I would say, it's not like every single day we're getting the craziest earth shattering tips, but enough tips have come in that I'm like, man, that's a really good idea as far as like how to set up your packing station with a ruler or a yardstick kind of built into the table, or to do your tape this way, or to do like those types of things have been so beneficial. And so for those of you who don't know, we have a Patreon. So if you would like to support Pure Hustle Podcast and you want to say thank you for the content that we've been putting out for the last 304 episodes, plus Monday minis, plus garage sale videos, plus all the other things we've done, the Patreon is a way to say thank you. $5.55 a month, and that Patreon unlocks access to the greatest reselling community Discord ever. And I hope it's that. I feel like it's that because we got great people in our community. We've got a lot of people in there who are, they're helping each other. They're asking questions. I've learned a ton. I know Arlando's learned a ton of things. And it's kind of just a cool place to hang out with other like-minded people and talk about the reselling world. It's not a cook group. We're not promising if you join that we're going to tell you the Q4 Bellow that you need to pick up. But every single day, people are, hey, look at this thing I picked up at a thrift store and it sells for X amount. I'm like, man, I had no idea. So we're learning Bellows as we go. We have Bellows, we have hustles, but it's more of a community. So if you want to be a part of that community, maybe learn some shipping tricks and or some new niches that you didn't know about, consider supporting Pure Hustle Podcast and joining our Patreon. Gives you access to our Discord. We'd really appreciate it.
Agreed. All right. Now that I've gone from learning, it's time to organize. And I think we did like a mini-sode on this.
Organize.
And organizing, I can't tell you, I still, the one of the things I dread on reselling is when something sells and I look and I have no custom SKU label on it.
Yeah, that is awful.
It happened to me yesterday and I spent 30 minutes looking for a pair of sandals. And luckily I found it.
Yeah, same thing with me with sandals, but it wasn't that we didn't have a custom SKU. It's that something weird happened. Let us know in the comments below if this happened to you. I know for a fact with our shoes, my wife and I spent like a whole afternoon going through all of our shoes. We got them put in the right totes, the right labels, in bags, and we labeled every single pair of shoes that we had on eBay with a custom SKU. And we've sold in the last few weeks like 2 or 3 that have no custom SKU number. And like, I know for a fact we spent all day putting custom SKU numbers in. So something happened with those. So that can still happen, but at least we were organized enough to know, okay, like where are our shoe totes? And we were able to kind of figure out like, okay, well, we have 4 shoe totes. So we've got to go through those. We know where those are. So at least having organization in some way, you're not just like, well, shoes can be in any random tote in this room. Yeah. So being organized, even when eBay's organization system fails you or whatever happens, having some kind of system organized is going to be really, really beneficial. So one of the things we talk about is inventory, but even having like your shipping stuff figured out, organized. And I feel like there's 2 types of people. There's people who hate organizing anything and they would, that's the thing they want to procrastinate is organizing. And there are a lot of people who are like that. And I think you waste a lot of time with that. The other end of the spectrum is people who would rather not list or maybe source or do it. There's other things that they don't want to do. And so they can almost kill time by organizing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to organize my space. And they've like reorganized and organized and organized, but they're not actually like selling things and listing things. Like, let me just get organized first. Ideally, you want to be in the middle, right? You want to be organized, but still listing. And so you got to be careful with that. I would say it's probably better to at least be somewhat organized. So get that shipping stuff figured out, get your items figured out, and even practice. I know a few Q4s ago, there was an item I was doing retail arbitrage with, and it was a kind of a funky shaped item. And I was able to pick up like 30 or 40 of them, somewhere in that range. And I had to figure out, it took me a little while to figure out the right box and the right box combination and how to cut that box. And once I figured it out, I was like, well, I know these are going to sell. So I'm going to buy a bunch of these boxes and they still need to be cut. So I'm just going to spend some time cutting all these boxes to the right size, folding them up, putting them in the corner. So when one sells, I just pull it out and it's good to go. So you can do those things now. I mean, maybe not to that extreme with every item, but if you know, hey, I'm going to be selling this item and they're going to be moving like hotcakes on eBay, I should probably figure out how to, do I have the boxes at least available? So when it starts, they're ready to go. And
I know this sounds like this is just stuff you should do anyways as a reseller, but you especially want to do this in Q4. The reason I don't stress, I could probably package up 25 to 30, it depends on the item, but 25 to 30 items within 30 to 40 minutes, right? If there's shoes, if there's shirts, hats, like I could move quick, right? It all depends on how fast eBay servers work when I go back to your order. Sometimes they take a little bit. But I can ship out pretty fast, but that's because all my shipping supplies, I know where they are. It's always, full. I never have to go like, oh man, I don't have any more of these boxes. Where's the tape? Everything is organized. And then when things sell, I've mentioned this before, I know exactly where it is. So, and now that everything's on my property, before when I had a storage unit, it did take a little bit more time because I'd have to wait and go to the storage unit. But here's the thing, that 30 minutes the other day that I lost, if it was Q4 and let's say I was doing some kind of retail arbitrage or something, it could have cost me hundreds of dollars. So you want to make sure it's organized. Now, bookkeeping is huge because when you have a lot of sales kicking in and you're spending a lot of money in Q4, you want to have it streamlined. And for example, I had mentioned on a previous podcast how lost I was on QuickBooks. Like I'm going to have to get that resolved before Q4, right? Because you got to think about your bookkeeping is going to make you money because it keeps money away from the government. So what I mean by that is, when it comes around tax time, the more legitimate deductions you're able to put in play, the more money you keep in your pocket. And if you're doing terrible bookkeeping, you're losing tons of deductions on cost of goods sold, on mileage, on expenses, things you might not even think about. And so if you got your bookkeeping in order, you're going to protect your bottom line during Q4.
Yeah. And then the amount of time you're going to spend, because there's the money aspect, but then there's the time aspect. When you have everything figured out, because there's those who hate tax time. I mean, I don't think anybody loves tax time, but you can like dread it to the point. I remember like when I was a student, I was a really bad student in like junior high and part of high school, never did my homework. It was like always like the day of homework was due, I'm trying to rush and fill it out. And there's like that anxiety because I don't have it. But then like the one time I'm like, I'm going to get my homework done early. You just feel good. And it's the same way, like if you're like going into tax time,
rarely happened,
and you've got like all of your work, all of your tax paperwork, all figured out. It's all organized. Here's my receipts. Here are my numbers. It's like easy peasy. It's still not an enjoyable experience, but it takes a fraction of the time. Plus, if there is an audit, you're not concerned. You're like, I've got all my paperwork, got all my receipts, I've got all my evidence, it's all organized. And you're not like, well, this is going to take me weeks of and hours every day of trying to find the receipts and trying to find this. And so you're not only saving time and money now, but potentially saving a bunch of time and money in the future. And I mean, I guess I'll open that up for comments. I mean, the comments are always open. You could write whatever you want in the comments in the YouTube. But if you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments below. Have you dealt with, nightmares when it comes to taxes, specifically maybe like not being organized, or have you had to deal with an audit and not having all of your stuff in order, versus have you had all of your stuff in order, maybe with an audit or doing your taxes, and what was that experience like? Let us know, just to kind of, we could see how important is that organization.
Yeah, agreed. Now, this last one is organizing your schedule. And what I mean by this is you want to have things set in place and on two ends here. First of all, you want to make sure that understanding that it's Q4, that you kind of set aside time now, like you realize, hey, once October hits, I'm going to spend this much time sourcing. I'm going to spend this much time listing, because the more you list, the more you'll be able to sell. And if you don't have that time organized, it's kind of like, if you don't plan out your day, it's the same issue. If you don't plan out your months, you're going to be missing out on a lot of money. Along with that, and I've mentioned this before, and sometimes we say it too late, I am a big fan of taking time off of your regular job if you're working a 9 to 5 and focusing on Q4. And the reason being is during those peak times in Q4, you could make more money in those 2 days than you can make in a week or 2 weeks or a month in your normal job if you play it right. Now that could apply both on eBay and Amazon. It could apply on eBay if you say, hey, that week before Thanksgiving, I'm going to take a couple of days off and I'm just going to list like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I get a bunch of listings up so that when the holiday season really kicks in right after Black Friday, I'm going to have a bunch of items to sell. Or you could say, hey, I'm going to sell on Amazon. I'm going to try to spend 2 or 3 days and I'm going to source and source and source. I don't know what those things are going to be yet, but I want to make sure that time's allotted so I can source those items, send them into FBA and make that money. Because I can tell you, when I was doing this part-time, the last 2 years I was part-time, I did take off 2 or 3 days and it was completely worth it. I made more in those 2 or 3 days than I would make in probably, I would say 3 months of the year. And it was completely worth it to me. So you got to figure out your workplace, but hey, it's really bad. It looks really bad if you ask for time off, the week before, but if you do it months ahead, it might be worth it to you.
Yep. That's good stuff.
So, all right. Hey, before we move forward, we talk about organizing, and one of the ways you can get organized is with your supplies. And one of those is your bubble wrap. One of the best companies out there is AmericanBubbleBoy.com. Free 2-day, next day, even local pickup shipping.
Good stuff.
Best deal out there. You can use our link below, get those items ordered. I know this year I'm going to make sure I have plenty of rolls, so I'm not trying to get a ship. But even in an emergency, they are the fastest option at the lowest price. So check out AmericanBubbleBoy.com. And if you have not checked us out on social media, we are Pure Soul Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We are Pure Soul Cast on Twitter. You can always leave us a call at 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. And you can always, if you want, shoot us an email at Pure Soul. Did I already say the email?
I don't know.
puresoulpodcast@gmail.com.
I tune this part out every episode.
puresoulpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're listening to our podcast and you have not checked out our mugs yet over on YouTube, jump on over to YouTube and at least hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10K. We're almost there, so would greatly appreciate that. And as always, smash that like button and that bell notification, because we also have those mini-sodes you might be missing out on every Monday. And last of all, always appreciate all of you that take the time to write some iTunes reviews. Last time we have our what do we call that? The stinger, or that before our podcast?
Yeah, we're begging for those 5-star reviews. Get us some 5-star reviews. If you like this episode, you can drop a 5-star review on the iTunes. It really helps us out.
And so a lot of you you guys lit up these reviews.
Yeah, really helps us.
So just want to share
the word out there.
2 of them real quick, because I think they're pretty funny. This one's not funny, but again, it talks about the fact that our podcast reaches both new and veteran reseller, experienced resellers. Saying old resellers just doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that's you old
Am
resellers.
I ageist if I say old? I mean old. I mean you've been reselling for a while. All right, so this comes from Madra J. Said, where have I been? I just discovered this podcast. I've been on eBay reseller since 1999. I've learned so much from these two. 1999. Like thank you. It means a lot when we get these. Mike and Orlando are so easy to listen to. Their tips, and my favorite is their real raw chat. So addictive. Great job, guys.
Nice. Thank you.
Now this one I
feel good.
This one I thought was kind of funny because I didn't catch this. And so they had mentioned, let me get to it here. I just had, here it goes.
We should really be more, somebody don't leave the review that like their podcast is great, but they're never prepared when it comes to
No,
reading
I was
reviews.
prepared. I swiped the wrong way on my iPhone and I lost it.
We'll work on maybe printing them out sometime.
So this is from Shaquille O'Deal. What a name. Said reliable and relatable, and said, love the podcast, fun and informative. Orlando's use of the word now in his transitions is a giveaway. He's a teacher.
That works.
Is that true?
Yeah, it could be.
I know I say all right a lot. That's one.
Yeah, I say yeah a lot. I guess that's we all have our things. Look, we're all humans. We're all imperfect. Orlando says buttons. We don't know why. We've tried to figure that out, but it is what it is. And, it makes us what we are.
So Shaquille O'Deal on Instagram said, thanks for keeping it real. So appreciate that. Thank you to all of you. If you haven't yet, jump on over to iTunes and hit those Apple iTunes reviews. All right. It's time for the segment everybody's waiting for.
Come on, hustlers. It's the freaking hustle of the week. Yeah. All right. Our first hustle comes from Wayne, IG handle at KWay Shop. We love KWay Shop. So thanks, Wayne, for another amazing hustle. You had a huge buyout of golf clothing at an average cost of $8.98 per item. Did not find any sold comp, so decided to list a pair of the pants high with best offer. Great strategy. And within a month, sold a pair of Lily Pulitzer Palm Beach men's Paisley Chico pants for $449.99 plus shipping. So if I'm buying some for $8, I'm like, I'm going to list this high. I don't know if like my high would immediately go to like almost $500, but you obviously did the research even with no comps. Man, what a deal. And you're saying here you had a huge buyout of golf clothing, which means this is just the start.
True. On his Instagram story, there's plenty to be bought. And so he had networked and established a relationship, so he's going to be buying more. So again, I always mention there's a lot of resellers out there that do not get the recognition they deserve, and I think Wayne is one of them. So if you have not yet, go on over to Instagram and follow KWay Shop. All right, so this next one comes from Shanda, IG handle Secondhand Hustle. And so her name, she had told me it's like Panda, but it's Shanda. So did I say that right?
I think so.
Or do some people say Panda?
I don't think anybody says Ponda.
Okay. All right. So this comes from Shanda.
I saw an elegant Ponda today.
So she went to an estate sale and picked up 3 pageant dresses for little kids for $5 a piece at an estate sale. This is something I never would have looked at. I would have been like, well, what is that? Like kids clothing. I usually run from kids clothing when I see them at garage sales or anywhere. But she did not. And so she picked them up and she sold 2 of them already. Remember, $5 a piece. These were Mary Louise party dresses, like those big, like fluffy circular kind of pageant dresses. And sold each of them for $200 a piece for total sales of $400.
Dang.
That was nice.
That's real nice.
I totally would not have picked that up. So yeah, check out.
Which makes sense. I mean, I've never actually watched a single episode of those like pageant videos with the kids, those TV shows. But of course, I've seen that they exist. I've seen the commercials and people making fun of them, memes and stuff. But it seems like the families that are into like pageants, like they'll spend money. Like it's a lifestyle. So it makes sense that there would be money in those items. All right, our next one comes from Mossbrucker 45. So he's on Discord. So picked up some mushroom art and listed on eBay. Sold. Do we have the price? What it picked up?
I'm looking up. See, this is where you're talking about being prepared. I thought I'd take care of this and I failed.
Look, it's okay. We're just gonna go with this because we're real raw. So
I did.
So we picked up some mushroom art for a undisclosed amount, which we will disclose shortly.
I think it was a few bucks.
We just want to leave you in suspense. We want to like build up the suspense here. So listed on eBay and sold within 30 minutes. It was a vintage meadow crewel embroidery mushroom framed 70s art piece, and it sold for $100 plus shipping. And it looked really cool too. I mean, I think mushroom stuff is pretty neat. What was the price?
They didn't get back to me.
We don't have we just know.
What a fail.
It's okay. I'm sure.
But here's the thing.
I'm sure $100 for a piece of art,
but understand what it is. It's crewel embroidery. Crewel, CREWEL. So that's like those stitching.
Oh, like a cross stitch pretty much?
Correct.
Yeah.
In a frame.
So this isn't like This is like someone's grandma made this.
Correct. That's why I thought it was a cool hustle of the week to share. So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they paid about like $2 to $3 for this.
If that.
Okay, but
that's awesome.
And granted, if it's sold in 30 minutes, probably was
maybe I need to get into like cross stitch and just sell my own art. Like, look at what I made.
Well, the reason I bring this up too is years ago this stuff used to sell, and then it just kind of stopped, and maybe it's coming back. But yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people are into mushrooms these days. So.
That is true. I think Joe Rogan has made the mushroom popular again.
Popular again. Just Joe Rogan, but
Joe Rogan and the like and the crew
and the elk. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So yeah, I mean, it just basically was a cross stitch of just mushrooms. It is sold for $100 plus ship. So maybe that's a bolo. Look up for. Actually, I did sell a Santa Cruz mushroom shirt a few weeks ago for like $30, but Santa Cruz mushrooms. We kind of know why.
Makes sense.
So, anyways,
no, I don't know why.
What's your hustle of the week, Mike?
All right. So my hustle of the week is, man, I feel like we're super nefarious in this episode.
Why?
So
we're evil?
Well, okay. Maybe not nefarious. Anyways, cigar humidor. So I was at a garage sale.
We're listing all the vices.
Yeah. We're just vicing it up today. And a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about glassware, like Scotch glasses. So anyways, I was at a garage sale and I bought a ton from this garage sale. So I don't even know what the average cost per item was because I bought so many like knickknacks, and I think I bought like 3 different cigar humidors, and we're talking just like smaller travel ones. And these were the type that are for like specific brands of cigars.
Okay.
If you were to go onto like a cigar website or cigar magazine and you were to buy like a box of cigars, a lot of times, or a bigger, maybe 2 or 3 boxes, a big set. Sometimes they come with like gifts. So maybe like a cigar lighter or a cigar cutter or a cigar box. So that's what this was. It was basically a small travel cigar humidor. And I'm going to say my average price per item was probably $3. Sold it for $40 or just about $40. And it was super simple to ship because it's just a small travel one. It's not like a huge thing. And I've sold another one from the same garage sale, which was even smaller. It only held like maybe 2 or 3 cigars in it. And I sold that one because it was like completely leather. It was really cool looking for about the same, about $30, $40. And for a couple dollars per, it's a no-brainer.
I always skip those all the time.
Now, if you're talking about just like a cigar box, you got to be careful with that because I don't think those sell. But if it's a humidor, that's a different story, especially the little travel ones. If it's like anything, if you're into cigars, you're going to, there are certain brands that people really like. Like I really like the Romeo and Juliet, or I really like the Olivia, or whatever it is, like the Macundas. I really like a certain brand. And so if there's the swag that goes with it, people are buying that for their dad or their uncle or for themselves for, Father's Day or just to have. So, don't pass on them. At least look them up because you'd be surprised at how much some of those will go for.
Interesting. Okay. So my hustle of the week, it's kind of interesting. So a year and a half ago, no, it's been a year. Yeah, a year ago. No, maybe more than a year. I can't remember. It was a while back. There was another reseller who was moving to Utah. So Fernando, you know who you are. And I bought a bunch of stuff. And a lot of the stuff I bought, and it was great. I mean, I dropped over $1,000, but I made that money back pretty fast. And he was fine with it because he's just trying to offload stuff, like kind of like you've been talking about, whenever you are ready to go to Texas, if you do go to Texas, wherever you go to, like, you don't want to bring all this merchandise with you. And so I bought a whole bunch of retail arbitrage toys that he bought to sell on Amazon. And they didn't sell for a reason, or he didn't list them. I don't know what happened. They still had like the TJ Maxx tag on there, and they were about $40. And what they were I think I had like 5 Batman Imaginext toys, and they're like these tall, like they're like 3 feet tall, and they have like the missiles on the shoulders. You've probably seen them because you got small kids. Mm. And here's the thing with retail arbitrage toys: if they were hot at one point in time, they will most likely sell again. So, for example, like the 5 Surprise, you know what those are? The little ball. You probably don't know, right? Like those, I'm selling. Like I have a lot of those, and I've sold a lot of those. But those Like the ones I'm selling, they were hot like 3-4 years ago, and now I'm selling them for more money. Right. And so these I bought and I thought they would sell quick, but they just didn't. They just sat and they sat in my garage for, about a year and a half, and now they're selling. And so I am selling them. Somewhere I paid, I don't even think I paid $40. He paid $40 for them on clearance. I probably bought them from him for like $5 a piece. And I've been selling them for $227 plus ship.
Nice.
And the shipping's like $50. So keep an eye. Just remember, if things were high at one point in time, unless, here's the thing, this is the only thing that will cause you trouble. If there's a restock and there's an overabundance, right? Like our good old friends,
Fingerlings.
the fingerlings, like these are, I think these are doomed forever. Like,
I don't know. Like they might come back as like the thing though. I don't know. No, they're probably like Beanie Babies.
like 20 years from now.
Yeah, like
we're like on episode 1089. We're like check out this Bellow fingerling.
We are gonna retire because we have an original fingerling up here. We're gonna auction this off right now and whatnot.
I have about 100 of these still. If that were the case, you're rich.
Yeah, we're gonna retire big.
I think these are the Beanie Babies.
I think we even sold.
Retail arbitrage.
We even or didn't sell. Who did somebody win something? We gave one to our listeners.
Yes.
I think like won a contest or something. We like signed.
They won a fingerling. Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
If you know who you are, let us know in the comments.
I think they asked for it. I think they wanted the fingerling.
They did.
Yeah.
They wanted a signed fingerling. So it's all good. So if we ever become famous, there you go.
Yeah, that signed fingerling will be
the first signed by Pure Supply.
That's right.
Anyway, so keep an eye out. Imagine Next, like the older ones, that whether they're Batman or Superman or DC Comics or Marvel, if they're new and sealed, you can get some good money for the older ones because they're discontinued.
Didn't Imagine X also have like dinosaur ones for
correct. Jurassic Park and all that.
And with Jurassic World coming out, I'm sure that probably boosted some of those as well.
So yeah, so I'm happy, $5 and 200 something, I'm okay with that. So all right, hey, another thing that I'm also happy about that keeps me hygiened. That's not a word. Well groomed. That's what I'm looking for. Is the skull shaver. Yeah. And I get it. It's been nice. This last week, my water heater wasn't working for like 6 days. I did take a shower though, all cold, but I was still able to shave my head. And it was just as smooth because the skull shaver works in, whether you're using it in the shower or you're using it just in your car on the way to work.
Yeah. Wet or dry, that thing will get you a close cut and it's solid. It's good. I use it every day and I like my skull shaver.
So check out skullshaver.com. Use our promo code HUSTLE with the capital H and get that discount.
Hustle, capital H, hustle. You won't regret it.
All right, let's talk about now. What is the last thing you need to do to prepare for Q4? And this is probably one of the most important ones and probably one of the most simple to understand, but maybe most difficult to do. The first one is just listing.
Yeah, that's that thing. Do we have anybody? Let us know if you are a listener of Pure Hustle Podcast. You're watching on the YouTube. You want to put a little comment. Do you love listing? I wonder if there's like a person who's like, I love listing. I could list all day long. Like that would be like a gift. If there's like, do you have any superpowers? Like, what's your like greatest talent? I love listing. It's a gift.
Yeah, the thing is the reason I don't like listing is because I'm not making any money while I'm listing. Like if I'm shipping, I made money.
Yeah, but you technically are not making money while you're sourcing either.
Yeah, but it's just fun finding stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, listen, if I could source all day and maybe one day the business will get to a place where I never source and I never ship. I never list and I never ship and all I do is source. And that'd be amazing.
We need to set up partnerships where it's like one person loves sourcing, one person loves shipping and listing, and then that's kind of like me and my wife. My wife doesn't really like sourcing that much, and she doesn't mind shipping or listing. She'll list, and then I take pictures. So we have a pretty decent partnership. But it'd be great if it was like, person just absolutely like I get my fulfillment in life from listing. But all that to say, You probably don't. You probably don't love listing like it's your greatest hobby. However, it's important. And a lot of times we've talked in the past about, you got to eat the frog. And when it's something you don't want to do, you will distract yourself. You will find every possible thing you could do besides listing. If you're like, I need to list, oh, look, the dishes need to be done. Or, oh, when was the last time I cleaned my toilet bowl? Like, you'll start to do everything else you could possibly do besides the thing you need to do. But you got to do it. Just get the listing done. And sometimes it's best just to do it first. Just say, okay, I'm going to get my listings done now. And what that does is that leads into our next thing, which is you want to go into Q4 as much as possible, being inventory light and capital heavy. And what we mean by that is you don't want to have a bunch of dead inventory sitting around your house, stuff that's not going to sell in Q4, things that are, hey, I'm just holding on to all this stuff, but I don't have money, because that could be the downfall. Is you can go out sourcing and end up with death piles or even stuff listed, but that is taken all of your capital that maybe over the next few years, the stuff will pay out and you'll make some money. But then Q4 hits and all of a sudden the deals are opening up and you're like, hey, if I had $5,000, I can buy in bulk on this item. No, if I had another $5,000, I can buy bulk of this item. And if I had another 5,000, and if you are sitting with a bunch of basically dead, stale inventory, you're going to be in a world of trouble. As opposed to if you can find a way to like start fire selling stuff, get those listings going, get things moving, whatever you need to do so that you're going into Q4 with money available. Because what that does is it gives you an opportunity. It gives you the opportunity to strike. It gives you the ability to strike when opportunity comes. Because we don't believe in luck. We believe in hard work and persistence. And if you're out there grinding enough, if you're out there scanning enough things at your local Target and Ross and Marshalls, you're going to come across stuff. If you're out there networking, like we've had episodes in the past about networking, if you're out there networking consistently, someone's going to call you up and say, hey, I got this deal. I know this guy, he's got a pallet of X, Y, and Z, and it's only $10,000. And if you're like, oh, that's great, I only have $300 in the account. And as opposed to, I've got the money ready to go now because I've been getting rid of that stale inventory. So try and move the stuff you have now. Use coupons, use sales, use things so that way you're not holding on to a bunch of random mugs and books and things that hopefully sell in the next few years, as opposed to having the money to buy when those opportunities come.
Agreed. And going back to the listing, you want to make sure you list all your death piles, because I'm a big believer that everything sells in Q4, right? And so, you may just let it sit and you don't list it and you go through the Q4 and it may not sell again for another year, right? But if you grab everything and you list everything, and then here's the thing, you come to an understanding that, yeah, maybe somebody's offering me a little less, but I'll take it. It's Q4, right? It was better to have that money now than just let it sit around, and then it might even lose value. It might become even more worthless the longer it takes. So make sure you're listening. You don't want to get caught up in this whole, I have death piles and it's Q4. You want to get rid of those death piles now. And going back to the cash. So let's go back to the cash heavy. You never know when the opportunity is going to arise during Q4 for you to pick up something that you could sell for a premium during, the late November, early December, because, there is a second wave of garage sales, at least in California. Obviously in the Midwest, that kind of probably ends by October. But there are plenty of opportunities that do arise. And you may say to yourself, I'll never do retail arbitrage. I'll never sell anything. But there are those moments, and Mike can attest to this, I can attest to this, where you walk into the store and you see an item and then you look at comps and you're like, that's really profitable. But then you're not cash heavy. And then you buy maybe two and they sell within, by the time you get home, they sold. And then you're like, oh, I probably should have bought them all out, but I couldn't buy it all out because I just wasn't cash heavy. You want to make sure you have that in order. The second one, and this is kind of controversial, and this depends where you are. Again, I'm a big believer if you have been able to be disciplined with credit cards, you want to make sure your credit cards are ready to go. You want to make sure your credit score is at a certain level. You want to make sure that your balances are really low. So if you need to drop a good amount of money, let's say you find a hot bolo, okay, and you can sell that pretty quick, and you might be able to spend $10,000 in a day, but then you could turn that 10,000 to 30,000 over a week. You want to make sure that you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, we're really big against personal debt. I think personal debt is a really, really bad idea. And, a lot of people have basically been tricked into getting personal debt that is going to keep them from being prosperous for years and years to come, especially if they're not dedicated enough to get out of it. However, business debt is different. And as much as you can, you want to be able to actually establish a real business, especially if you're doing this legitimately. If you're just doing this kind of part-time, having a business credit, maybe you're not like you haven't set up a corporation or a sole proprietor. You're just kind of doing it, on your own. You run into like you're mixing personal and business. But if you're doing this legitimately full-time, you should have business credit because if you're not leveraging credit and your competition is, and this goes for all different types of businesses, you can be a plumber, a locksmith. It doesn't really matter if you've got a business and you're like, I'm not going to use any debt, and your competition is leveraging debt to get the newest equipment and the best stuff and to drive their prices down. You are at such a disadvantage. We talked about the Grant Cardone, giving yourself an unfair advantage. And if you are avoiding using debt, leveraging debt, especially with, interest rates are rising, but as long as your interest rates are lower than the inflation rates, like it's free money. And if your competition is doing it and you're not, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So you do need to know how to do it. I think if you don't understand how debt works, stay away from credit cards like a plague. But if you've been reselling for a while and you kind of are starting to understand how economics and money works, businesses use debt for a reason. They're constantly leveraging debt. So if you're unable to sit down and explain why it's a good idea for your business to leverage debt, then stay away from credit cards and maybe do a little bit of research. But if you understand how that works, even just we have some people on our Discord talking, and this is the same thing we've done, is if you can have cash rewards on stuff. Hey, set up your cash rewards on your PayPal. So when you're buying your shipping supplies, when you're buying your shipping labels, when you're buying anything for your business, you're getting points back for it. And if you're paying that stuff off, even if you're not using debt, but you're just using the rewards. Now, would I recommend a points reward system for somebody who's already huge in debt and they don't understand how to pay off that debt? No, it's better to not get an extra $10 in rewards this week if you're going to be another $200 in interest because you don't understand how it's working. But if you can understand how to make it work, man, there's so many tools available that we should be taking advantage of as a business.
Yeah. So be ready. Again, it goes back to, you got to go with your comfort level, but definitely you want to right now that it's August, you want to sell as much as you can to stack up that capital to be able to make larger purchases in Q4. Cause you'll be amazed at how much you can make in Q4. For example, I can make more in those 3 months than I make all year. There's some people that literally, they just live off the money they make during Q4. Which I don't advise. I think you should still continue on, but some people make it happen. So definitely make it possible. So, hey, take this Q4, take it as a time to learn, take it as a time to organize, take it as a time to make sure that you have your listings up, you have your capital ready, and you're able to make this a successful Q4. But make sure to stay tuned to our next Q4 because we have a different perspective, a different take on this possible Q4. At least I do for now. We'll see where Mike and I land on things.
That's right.
So check us out. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling late.
Peace.